Hey y'all, how's it going? Well, this is going to be a really short little video, and I'll tell you why I'm making it. On my Facebook group page, after one of the members had watched the video that I just did on dehydrating tomato skins and turning them into tomato powder, she asked me how I stored them, and I thought, wow, I should have filmed that and talked about it. There are a couple of ways to store your dehydrated products. One way is in canning jars, and you can drop a little oxygen packet that takes out the oxygen absorber. You can drop one of those in like a quart canning jar with your product. And if you're going to use the oxygen absorbers, the 100 cc's is plenty for a canning jar. You don't even have to vacuum seal it, because over time the oxygen absorber will actually pull that little part down on the lid, you know what I'm talking about, and it will ping. Interestingly enough, when you open it, you can reuse it, the lid, and it will ping again. Another way to store it in a canning jar is what I'm going to show you with my tomato powder here in just a second. Now, the second way you can store your dehydrated foods is to vacuum seal them. And even though you vacuum seal them, again, you want to put an oxygenator in with the baggie. For long-term storage at that point, if you're vacuum sealing it in a baggie, I would put them down in a Mylar bag and seal that as well. Another reason I wanted to make this quick video this morning was to talk about dehydrating your vegetables, fruits and vegetables, and the whys of it, the benefits of it, but also the safety precautions of it. So let's talk about the benefits. Anytime you are processing foods, cooking, canning, even cutting it with a knife, you lose a little bit of the nutrients. Dehydration of your food loses the least amount of nutrients out of the food. And that's actually been proven. There was a study done by the United States Department of Agriculture, and I'm going to have to look it up just to be sure of my statistics of what I'm telling you here. But on average, when food is frozen for storage, 40 to 60% of the nutrients are lost when frozen. When canning, it's worse. It's a whopping 60 to 80% of the nutrients are lost. Home food dehydration produces an average nutrient loss of, you ready? 3 to 5%. Another wonderful thing about dehydrating your food is the storage. You know, when you can something, you need to use it up within a year. Dehydrated foods can last for years and years and years. Some people even say up to 30 years. But, I mean, my word, surely you're going to eat it before 30 years. Dehydrating your foods is a great way to preserve your nutrients and be able to store it for a whole lot longer. Now, the safety issues. I wish I had talked a little bit more about this in that video. First off, I did suggest that you get you a very good book. I love this one, the Dehydrator Cookbook. It is excellent. It gives great advice, and with each item of dehydration, it also tells you what to look for the dryness test. Here's one for strawberries. Dryness test. Should feel dry like paper and be somewhat flexible. The other thing I've learned is that when you dehydrate your foods, if you're dropping them on the counter, for example, they should make a sound, kind of like a piece of plastic. It's crazy, but that's the way it should be. Another safety thing when you're dehydrating your foods, don't just go by the timer. For example, in that video I showed that it said 12 hours, between 7 and 12 hours to dehydrate the tomato skins. Well, it ended up taking longer than that. I should have probably put that in the video. And one of the reasons is because it was really humid. And another reason is because I was also canning that day, creating a lot of moisture here in this kitchen. So I let it go for about 4 more hours. You cannot over dehydrate the food. It's not going to turn to dust, and it's not going to ruin it. It must be very, very dry. The enemies of dehydrated food, moisture. So it needs to be 95% moisture free or higher. Heat, so when you store it, you need to store it in a cool, dark place. Light, store in a dark place. Air, oxygen, obviously. That's why we need to vacuum seal or put the oxygen absorbers in there to absorb any oxygen that's in the container. And then of course, pests, bugs, you certainly want to be able to protect from those. So one of the most important things when you're dehydrating is make sure that you have all the moisture out of your food. Another test you can do is take a piece of what you dehydrated, put it in a Ziploc bag, seal it up, let it sit for a while, and see, even overnight if you need to, and let it see if it creates any moisture. In fact, you could put everything that you dehydrated in a big Ziploc bag, close it up, and see. If it has moisture in it, it's not ruined, put it back in the dehydrator and keep dehydrating it until it's completely free of moisture. So while y'all are watching what I'm doing with the tomato powder, I am going to turn on my dehydrator to 135, get it going. And I'm going to dehydrate some stale bread, because guess what? You can make your own breadcrumbs, and then you can spice it up. When you're crushing your breadcrumbs, you can add some of those dehydrated tomatoes or the dehydrated tomato powder, dehydrated herbs. Make your own thing. It's only going to take me 3 to 4 hours to dehydrate some bread. I can do it in cubes or whole, but I'm just going to do it whole. So, turn my knob up. Start loading me some trays with some stale bread. Well, here I am transferring my tomato powder from the larger wide mouth jar to some little 4-ounce regular mouthed jars. We'd already done one. Checking the lid here to show you that it's a brand new one, that it will pop. That is an attachment feature to my food saver that is a canning ball sealer. And I only have the one for the regular lid, which is why I transferred the powder. It doesn't take very long to do this. Once you take it off, I'm showing you here that the jar is completely sealed. Try to pop it up. I can't do that even with my hands. And now I'll put the ring on. Simple, simple. So let's do it one more time. Add the lid, add the sealer, put the hose attachment into the top, lock your food saver, and press the button. Undo your hose attachment. You'll hear a little whoosh as you undo that hose attachment. And then take your sealer contraption off. I'm kind of glad it did this so I could show you. There's the rubber gasket seal. It got twisted as I was taking it off, but just straighten it out, put it back in, ready to use for another day, and perfectly sealed. Now, I didn't have any oxygen absorbers, or I would have added this too, but we're good to go. I put it in the fridge. Bye. Y'all have a good one.